So I had, and I'm still having, some kind of quarter life crisis. And this is mostly to do with careers, but it's also just generally what to do with my life. When I was at university, I really struggled with knowing what to do when I left university. And I felt like I had to pick something that would be the thing that I would do forever. And then after I left university, I did a few different things, and I've ended up living a very different life, to be honest, to the one that I thought I might have when I was at university. And so I've learned a lot about this process of the quarter life crisis. And in this video, we're just going to talk about 10 things that I think you can do and 10 general attitudes that you can have to avoid a quarter life crisis. Number one is embrace uncertainty. So all of these tips in this video are just about shifting your mentality from one of fear and anxiety around what the future holds into one of growth and excitement. You'll never know exactly what the future holds. You really won't. No one ever does. Even people who have got it really planned out and maybe are doing a degree in medicine and it looks like they know exactly where they're heading, they'll never know exactly what is coming. So this mentality of embracing uncertainty is really, really important. When I was 22 and leaving university, I wish I'd had this mentality more, because I could have realized that I didn't have to have all the answers right then. The answers will just come over time as you go through your life. And unless you're thinking about committing to something that requires a lot of upfront training, like being a doctor or being a lawyer, and my advice for that is just to get as much work experience as possible before you have to commit to doing the thing, then you can just trust that the answers will come through your life and things will become clearer. But to be honest, uncertainty is just a part of life. Number two is experiment. You don't have to pick something and stick to it forever. You can just try lots of different things. Imagine if you were trying to figure out which foods you liked and didn't like. You wouldn't expect to have the answers by just looking at the foods. You actually have to try them. You have to get involved. You have to experiment and realize which things you like and which things you don't like. You could have a job for 6 months, then you can have another job for 2 years, then you can have another job for 1 year. By experimenting, you'll learn a lot about what you like doing and what means something to you and what you're good at as well. During university, I did a little bit of work experience. I worked for a hedge fund for a week, for an asset management firm for a week, both in finance. And then after I left university, I did football coaching, and that was really, really fun. I learned a lot there. And then after that, I worked as a management consultant, and now I'm doing a bit of freelance work. So I've really experimented with a lot of different lifestyles, and it's giving me a lot of clarity. I'm just learning about what lifestyle I want, what matters to me, what I'm good at, and it is making these big decisions a bit easier. The next thing is figure out what you don't want to do. So we always think about what is it that we do want to do. And I really thought about this when I was at university. I just focused on like, what is the thing that I want to do or that I should do? Instead, it can be really useful to ask yourself the question, what do I actually not want to do? What kind of lifestyle do I not want to have? What job do I not want to have? And what things do I really not care about? So ask yourself the question, what do I not want? Number four is recognize the range of careers now. So in the 21st century, especially in 2022, there are a million different ways to earn money. I never thought that I would be earning money how I am now, which is through several different things really. I work part-time, I do 2 different like freelance jobs, then I also do educational tutoring, and I hope to earn some money from YouTube as well in the future. And that's really possible. Obviously, lots of people do that, and it's just crazy that we get boxed in to thinking there's only one way to earn money, and that is through a salaried job. You don't have to have just one job for 40, 50 years. You can do lots of different things, and you can earn money literally in a million different ways. Last year I was working as a management consultant, and I earned all my money just from that one job, and it came a monthly, and I knew exactly what was coming, and that was quite nice. It was quite stable. This year I quit my job, and I'm now doing lots of different freelance work, and I've got income coming from lots of different places. And I never thought that would be possible a year ago. I just didn't have that mentality. I thought that I had to get a salaried job. And here I am making it work, and I hope to make it work even better in the future. Careers are strange and varied, and they don't have to be linear in one job. So the next thing is that your 20s are for learning. So life is really long, and I think that it's so much better to experiment now in your 20s and optimize for figuring out what you like doing, what works for you, what things you find meaningful and enjoy, instead of optimizing in your 20s for money, because then in your 30s and 40s, you haven't figured out what you really like doing. If you experiment and learn in your 20s, you can then execute against those things in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s and make money during those years. This is just what seems most natural to me. I can definitely see an argument where you optimize for earning as much money as possible in your 20s, and that maybe will benefit you down the line. But I think you're better off experimenting now to find the areas that you like working in and the things that you like doing, and then you can execute against those things and try and find ways to earn money doing them in the future. The next thing to think about, number 6, is paying attention to your childhood. So what I mean by this is it can be really difficult when you're thinking about what am I good at and what skills do I have and what do I actually enjoy. It can be really hard to answer that question. So we should try and think about our childhood. What did people say that we were good at? What did our parents say that we were good at? What do we often spend a lot of our time doing? What came naturally to us? And if we think about these things, think about this kind of experience, there's normally some answers lying in there. Maybe you're naturally really good at music, maybe you're naturally really good at gossiping, maybe you're naturally really good at sport. And it's not about thinking those are the things that I should be doing. It's just that thinking about your childhood experiences can aid you towards help you think about what are your natural tendencies. They can aid that process of reflection, just like what am I naturally good at? What am I naturally drawn towards? So when I think about this question, I think about my childhood. One thing that comes to mind is sport. I really loved playing sport. And then another thing is just helping others. And I felt like I was naturally good at explaining things to other people. And that's some people often said, Tintin, you should be a teacher. And so I kind of listened to that a little bit, and I just thought maybe there's something that I can do there, maybe something that I should be paying attention to. And that's part of the reason why I started making these YouTube videos, because I thought maybe it'd be fun to teach online. On the other side of things, with sport, my favorite sport was football, and I really wanted to be a professional footballer when I was younger. And then I ended up working as a football coach for Arsenal after leaving university, and that was a really, really fun experience. But I realized that football was not what I wanted to do as a career. So that's an example of where following your childhood passion can actually maybe take you down the wrong path. But I'm so glad that I did that football coaching, because I learned so much about myself and I learned so many new skills. And I also realized that I didn't want to be a football coach, and learning what you don't want to do is really, really valuable. Number 7 is don't expect to find one thing that really gets you going. So we're often told, follow your passion and find your passion, but it can be really hard to nail that down. So I think it's way better to just try and answer questions like, what do I enjoy doing? What gives me meaning? What do I care about? What do I like? What am I good at? And trying to answer these questions like, what kind of lifestyle do I want to have? What engages me? What excites me? Rather than just thinking, what is my passion? It's unlikely to ever be that straightforward, and your passion will probably change lots of times over the course of your life. I love making these YouTube videos right now, but I don't expect to be doing this same thing in like 30 years, for example. There are different seasons and phases of your life. So just following your interests is quite a good way of figuring out the types of things that you like to do. Number 8 is seek clarity. And I got this idea from this book, High Performance Habits. And I'm going to make a video on this book because it is literally the best book ever. But I've often spoken about in a few other videos, this idea of generating clarity. But the step before generating clarity is seeking clarity and understanding that clarity is something that you need to work for. You need to think about, how am I going to become clearer about the things that I want to do? In recognizing that you need to seek clarity, then over time you will slowly generate clarity and become clearer about the things that you want to be doing. So there are 2 things that Brendan Burchard, the author of the book, talks about in here that you need to do. And the first is define what's meaningful to you. So you can find meaning in lots of different things, but it's important to know what you find meaningful, because then you can chase that. You can chase the meaning in your life, and that way you'll be fulfilled and satisfied, and you won't have a quarter-life crisis, because you'll be working on things that you find meaningful. For me, what I find meaningful really is helping others to feel their most natural selves and inspiring them to take action, to do the things that they want to do. Because when I feel like that, when I feel supported and encouraged to do the things that I want to do and to be able to act exactly how I want to act and sort of feel like in my natural self, that means so much to me. So it's a big reason why I make these YouTube videos, is to show people that you can, put yourself out there and you can be your full self online, and people don't punish you for it. People engage with it, they relate to it, And so that's like a big reason why I make these YouTube videos. I find it really meaningful to put stuff on the internet that I think helps people learn about themselves. So other things that you could find meaningful could be like making food and cooking for people. You could find that really meaningful. Maybe it's making money. You could find that meaningful. You could find being really excellent at something, like maybe you're a professional golf player and you just find mastering that really meaningful to you. Maybe it's just having fun. Maybe that's what you find meaning in. So I think it's really important to be clear about what you find meaningful in your life. The other thing that Brendan Burchard talks about in here is defining the feeling that you're after. So what is the specific feeling that you want to have when you are going about the work that you will do in the future, or the life that you have? So for me, for example, the specific feelings that I like having are, I like feeling a sense of peace. I don't like feeling too stressed. That doesn't make me feel very good. Ironically, I get quite stressed out by these YouTube videos sometimes and the upload schedule, but I like to feel peace. I also like to feel a sense of fulfillment. I like to just feel fulfilled, like I'm working on things that make me fulfilled and I feel like a good for the world. And I also like to feel a sense of like connection with other people. I like to feel a really pure human sense of connection with others. And you can figure out how you can go about getting those feelings. But when you know what like actual feelings you want to generate, you can work towards them. I also really like to be excited and to have that feeling of excitement. And I find YouTube and all the other things that I'm working on at the moment really exciting because it's just like the uncertainty. And so that's a feeling that I'm trying to chase and to kind of like keep present within me. To try and answer the question of what feelings do you want to have on like a regular basis in your work. Number 9 is don't compare yourself to others. So this can be literally anyone. This can be your friends, this can be people on your social media, and this can be your family. Comparing yourself just aids that quarter life crisis vibe. It just makes you think, oh no, I'm doing the wrong things. Everyone else is moving faster than me. Everyone else is doing the things that they really want to be doing. Everyone else's lives look amazing. It's really important to just try and focus on figuring out the answers to the stuff that we've spoken about in this video and taking things at your pace, because no one else has lived your life before, and it's really important to manage your social media as well, because that can be a real place of anxiety and pressure and people telling you you should have it figured out. So just try your best not to compare yourself to others. Number 10 for how to avoid a quarter life crisis is learning how to quit, because this is only for when you are thinking about quitting. If you're not thinking about quitting, then you don't really need to learn how to quit, but it's such a useful skill to have because you always will get stuck in things that don't really work. It's just part of life. There'll be things that come along that don't work for you and you need to figure out how to leave them and how to quit them. The best thing that I have found about learning how to quit is this quitting framework here from Stephen Bartlett's book, Happy Sexy Millionaire. And I rely on it now when I'm thinking about quitting something. I just go through this little framework and it really, really helps me out. The reason why you need to learn to quit is because it's so easy to waste time, to lose time doing things that you don't really care about, that you don't really enjoy, and you're just sort of sticking at them because it's going to work. You're thinking it might work out in the future. You're thinking that it might be good to stay at the job for a while. And I just think that you actually just waste time and lose time. You're better off just quitting and moving on to the next thing. Okay, so those are my 10 pieces of advice on how to avoid a quarter life crisis. Some final things to think about are just getting in the attitude of being a yes person, saying yes to opportunities. I think that can be really helpful, just kind of being a bit of a yes person. And the next thing is let go and move on. So chances are when you make some of these decisions, you'll make the wrong decision, and that's completely fine. Just let go and think about how you're going to move forwards. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and got some value from it or learned something. Drop a comment if you did, and please subscribe to the channel because it really, really helps if you do that for the YouTube algorithm. I will see you in the next one.